Yes. Good afternoon to everyone here and anyone in our virtual world, and welcome. I'm calling this meeting of the Corporate Services Committee to order. My name is Phil Brennan. First of all, is there anyone wish to declare a pecuniary interest? Seeing none, let's move to the consent agenda. Does anyone wish to pull anything into new business? Yes. Member Taylor.
Yeah, through the chair, I had pulled D 2.2 and 2.4.
Okay. And I am pulling D 2.1. Anyone else? That's it. All right. With those exceptions, then, can we have a motion to adopt the regular agenda?
Thank you. The motion reads that the agenda be adopted, including consent items with the exception of item D 2.1, D 2.2, and D 2.4.
Mover, please. Mover Taylor, Mr. And Member McIntyre, all in favor? All right. All right. Moving to reports from officials. F1, Public Works Report W24039 speed limit review on Balkwill line. And I understand Derek or Alex will be speaking to this.
Good afternoon. So through the chair, so in response to an inquiry from a resident on Balkwill line, staff are directed to complete a speed limit review to lower the speed limit. So the current speed limit here is de facto 80 kilometers an hour. We completed some traffic monitoring in June of 2024, and we found the 85th percentile for speed to be 95 kilometers an hour. Excuse me. An assessment was completed in accordance with tax guidelines for establishing posted speed limits, and the result of the guidelines are to post this section of Balkwill line at 60 kilometers an hour. And this recommendation comes largely from the road's classification of being a local roadway. In conclusion, staff recommend that the speed limit be set to and posted to 60 kilometers an hour.
Thank you. Yes, Member Cox.
I don't think posting it to 60 is going to stop them from going 90, because that's a throughfare road and people utilize that as one. I'm just saying, you can put your 60 on, but there's still, that is a road that people utilize, and it was paved for the main reason of connecting the two ends, and the same with Foxmead. That's just my opinion, but you can try it if you want, but the police aren't going to go out there and do anything. So I don't know what else to say, because they're going to speed, and that's just an opinion. I don't want anything more. I got all the information. That's just an opinion.
Thank you. Member McIntyre.
Thank you. Through the chair. You might have heard this from my seat before. I like 70, but we never seem to get. Mr. Burke and I are at different opinions on that 70, but we've had this discussion in the past, and for me, 70 might slow them to 60. I agree with the Member Cox. We're never going to get them to go 60 unless we've got a big red truck there and a police department standing by. So, does it make any sense to the members of this group and maybe to the staff that we post to 70 there instead of 60? You know, they're going to do 90, and if the police ever go out there, somebody's going to lose their license. So maybe I'm wrong, but I'd like to see some conversation on this matter on Balkwill to be around the 70 kilometer mark. Has anybody got any thoughts on it? Thank you.
Thank you. Member Taylor.
Seeing the Taylor line is already 60, I support the 60. Maybe we'll get more increased revenues there when we catch them speeding there, but I think I support the 60.
If I may, I just have a question. If you have a study that shows that 60 meets the standards and you don't do that, do you incur any liability?
Thank you, through the chair. So a couple of things. I think we'll start from the last and work backwards. So yes, I think there's some inherent concern with posting a speed limit higher than what the Transportation Association of Canada guide tells you to post it at. There's a little caveat here though. The TAC guideline really hinges on what type of road we think that road is. If the road is considered a collector roadway, right, like having a somewhat equal opportunity for access to property, farmland property, individual dwellings, that sort of thing, and thoroughfare, that would be considered a collector roadway, even though the numbers are quite low. We're talking 500 cars a day or less, a very rural collector style roadway. If we were to think of our roadways like that, then yes, that 70 kilometers an hour posted speed limit would be quite regularly recommended by the TAC guidelines. However, when we did our transportation master plan update, the consulting engineer McIntosh Perry described the function of those roadways as local roadways. It was the first time we ever considered these roadways to be anything but a rural roadway, and we selected the local road class. So I think stepping back, we had a report not too long ago about the de facto. These rural roadways virtually have limited to no traffic. They also have some fairly substandard creation of them, the width and the sidelines and clear zones. And so if we were to step back and look at a highway, I would say traffic act de facto limit, again, in all of these rural areas of something like a 70, because we did hear from the previous discussion that maybe 60 felt too low, and data did kind of support that. A lot of people do just around 80 on these roads or a little bit below. And so, maybe that's the recommendation, is to review and reconsider a de facto limit approaching a 70 with the change in designation to something like a minor collector in the rural setting. That's a possibility. But I will note that Councillor Taylor is correct. A number of our rural roadways, when we do these individual studies, the community wishes it to be 60 or less. The requests are often 60 or less in our rural roadways. And so we have done that on Taylor Line, for instance, a couple others recently, Mount Stephen Road. Quite a bit of Ward 1 in that rural section there has 60s as a result of sort of years of public requests for lower speed limits.
Anyone else with a follow-up? Yes, Member McIntyre.
Thank you, Mr. Burke. It's just as my final comment on this matter, if the ward area councillor likes 60, I'm going to agree with what he's there more than I'll ever be. But somewhere along the line, one day we're going to get a 70 posted somewhere with. Well, when I'm sitting in this chair for another couple of years. So I'll if in light of Member Taylor's comments, I'll yield to that 60. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, and just final comment from me. My limited experience, things like Utah Line, is that 60 at least cuts the speed down from 100. In 80, they go 100. And I know Utah's a lot safer because of it. So I agree with Member Taylor. And I don't think anyone has really disagreed with the 60 so far. Member Burkett.
Through the chair, and I'm happy to support Member Taylor, but if we recall, we had a request on Taylor Line that's now posted 60, and they're going through that at a phenomenal speed. So I think it's driven by a complaint driven, and in hopes that if we posted 60, maybe they'll go 60, but unfortunately they don't.
Member Taylor.
I'm just hoping that this would slow down the drag racing on Taylor.
Any final comments? May we have a motion, please?
So the motion sorry.
Jewel.
Bounce Stephen to Foxmead is Ward 2. Just I'd clarify that.
Thank you.
Okay, so the motion reads that Public Works Report number W24-039 dated December 11th, 2024, with respect to a speed limit review for Balkwill Line be received, and further that the speed limit on Balkwill Line be set to and posted at 60 kilometers an hour.
Mover, please. Moved by Member Taylor. Seconded by Member Burkett. All in favor? Thank you. Moving on to administration reports, F 2.1, Administration Report 24043, comments on proposed updates to provincial accessibility standards. And I understand our clerk will be speaking to that.
Yes, thank you. So the report itself is fairly straightforward. There's every handful of years, they do a review of the standards. So they've just completed that review and these are the initial recommendations coming forward out of that. We haven't seen any actual OREG update with the detail and meat yet, but in general principle, the letter from the chair of the committee was pretty detailed in what they're looking to see come forward. Once the comments close, then you'll actually see draft updated regulations we expect in the new year. But just some general comments. There's some stuff we absolutely support. There's some where we would prefer to see them have some scale of like, so small municipalities are not treated on the same scale as large municipalities for resources and, policy review timelines, that type of stuff. We just don't have dedicated staff that are solely focused their whole day on accessibility related issues. There's a lot of talk in here about the need and in the general report about the need for the province to come up with templates, especially if they want the private sector, because this legislation governs public and private sector. So if they want private sector to get on board with accessibility legislation, then they need to start coming out with some provincial templates for businesses to use and such. So, and we would absolutely support that, right? So aligning our procurement requirements with accessibility, we already have that in our purchasing bylaw. So, we already meet those standards. So I'm not too worried on that front for us. Notices temporary service disruptions. Just they're saying there's a need for us to keep notices longer. So if someone were to come back as much after the fact and say, what did you do when this happened, that we hold on to those notices. We already do that for a certain period of time in our retention schedule. So I'm not too concerned about that either. But again, more supportive, the idea that's really coming through from this review is different before where it was all about, we need regulation on this, we need regulation on that, we need regulation and timelines. This is about trying to support people for getting on board with stuff more than anything. So there's a couple in here about, they want every time we have to put out an emergency thing that there's an ASL, American Sign Language interpreter around to be part of that if we ever had to do a press conference. And the one thing that the general comments are is that the province needs to be aware that outside of the GTA, the availability of that is not as prolific as they might want it to be. So again, most municipal comments I've seen going back on this so far, and it's just starting. There's a lot going this month through municipal councils and accessibility committees. Is that for those that are going to target municipalities, there needs to be a scope and size component put in that so that the timelines are relative to scale of operation. But in general, most are fairly supportive of where the committee seems to be leaning, which is the province being responsible for coming up with templates for everyone to be able to use going forward. So if there's any questions, this will be going forward to our accessibility advisory committee this Friday. Just so if there's also additional comments from them, then we can include them as well. But if council has
Just before we get into discussion, I just want to be clear then. So our motion will be that we take this as information.
So the motion as detailed in the report is just that the comments in the report be submitted to the province on the
Thank you.
council's behalf.
Okay, great. And any member of the committee wish to speak to this? May we have a motion, please?
Certainly, motion reads that Administration Report A24-043 dated December 11th, 2024 regarding comments on proposed updates to provincial accessibility standards be received, and that the comments detailed in Administrative Report A24-043 be submitted to the province.
Mover. Moved by Member Burkett, seconded by Member Taylor. All in favor? Motion passes. Thank you. All right, moving on to F 2.2, Administration Report 24038, 799-6 Highway 11 South Severn. And I understand that Becky will be speaking to this.
Well, thank you, Chair. A little bit closer. This is just a follow-up report that was requested on October 25th, 2013 during corporate services, asking for staff to investigate the viability of 7996 Highway 11 South being high density employment land. So through investigations and speaking to Invest Ontario, which is the provincial organization that does investment attraction worldwide, we were able to find out that due to the lack of water and wastewater available at the site and some of the issues with MTO's refusal to provide a driveway access, the property maybe is not the best selection. So it is the recommendation of staff that we do actually market the property, that we could develop some marketing material for the property, and we move forward with more selling it as a warehousing or a non-water wastewater use industrial use. And we let the county, the local realtors know about this, and the province will keep it on record. They just will not be actively promoting it on their international site.
Thank you. Any questions from council? Yes, Member Cox. Oh, sorry, Member Burkett. I thought you're.
Thank you through the chair. Is this the property we're just up the highway here?
The clerk is going to share that property.
And how large, I can't remember how large it is. And I know there's a railway yard, railway in behind it. So supplementary to the chair, if I may, so even Becky, the entrance that's there now, if someone wanted to purchase the whole piece of property, are the MTO allowing them to use that, or is it based on what their plans are to put there? Because there is someone that's interested that asked some years, last year actually, but we were waiting to finish our OP before we said anything.
So through the chair, the property, the driveway currently right there, from our understanding, is not, because it's not being used as a driveway, is not seen by MTO to be a driveway. It has to be an active driveway for them to consider it to be a driveway.
Very supplementary to the chair, if I may, but are we talking about the driveway that goes onto the highway? Well,
Sorry.
so right parallel to the highway, we're right in front of where the marina is. Where's the This is not on your way marina here. This is Stewart's here, correct?
Correct.
So the entrance here.
But that's that entrance.
No one can hear what you're saying.
That's the entrance. I'll go back.
Yeah.
There is no current entrance.
Okay.
There isn't it.
Yeah, so just going back to the original report here, there actually is no current entrance into this property that MTO will recognize. There's access into Stewart's and there are access, but it's not a driveway, so we'd be crossing over private property to access it. Yeah. There is no public road access or driveway access from this lot to the highway.
Supplementary, if I may, through the chair. So some years ago, there is an entrance that someone, I won't mention any names, has put through to Carly online. So how does that work? Should we sell this piece, or decide if council decides to sell this piece of property? Is that entrance? Maybe Derek would like to speak to it, because that was controversial, because I know there's some members of council here that didn't know.
Yeah, so through the chair, it's still reflected in our transportation master plan that a road connection would carry through the property off of Carlion line that had sort of a road constructed already to date on the private side, and that could connect to that property. We show it in the TMP as a potential, a concept, meaning that if we did sell this property and an applicant came to us with a plan to construct a roadway, it'd be something we would consider, given that it doesn't have any other direct access off of Highway 11, and it has no other, it's basically landlocked, right? Like there's no real connection to a roadway, a municipally maintained roadway at this time. It abuts the rail trail, which we have some ownership for, but the connection would come off Carlion line in a concept that we've carried through our official plan for a number of years.
If I may, if and this is a planning question, so I guess I don't know if we need a report or we need planning, but so we're in a deficit of employment land. So if we were to sell this, what happens then if we're in such a deficit? Because this is employment lands, correct? And okay, hi Andrea, sorry to ask, but go ahead.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, through you to Member Burkett. Yes, certainly these are lands within the south of Division Road secondary plan. They're identified as industrial, so they do have the potential to contribute to our employment lands. However, typically the focus is the employment lands would be in service settlement areas. So once we undertake a more comprehensive review of our employment lands, they'll be prioritized, and the ones with more priority have full services. But at this time, these are what you would consider unserviced employment lands.
So we're able to speak to this piece of property, right? So based on what happened years ago, back in 14 or 15, and the entrance that may or may not have been put through without our permission, onto Carleon line, because it falls in Member Brennan's ward, they fill this room. The entrance is between a residential area, and I don't know if that's a viable entrance, or can we allow it, or is it because it's there, it remains there, or if we're going to sell the property, is the condition that they cannot use that entrance? Like all these, and I don't need an answer now, but I think if moving forward, we're going to contemplate selling this piece of property, and there is someone that's interested in it that I know of, like, how do they access this, and what exactly are they going to do?
Through the chair, one thing that we would put in the caveat on our marketing material is it would be up to the property owner to potential new property owner to actually reach out to MTO or out to us to determine and figure out a route. So that would be their responsibility. So to be honest, MTO says no to everything. We know that. Yet we have seen development along Highway 11, and it's who you know and who. And so if the right business came along, so if you had a large scale, say, transportation warehousing company come along and say that they need that property, and they go to MTO and they provide a good enough case, and they are willing to spend the money to make the proper on and off entranceways, then possibly it will happen. That property is actually, when I talked to the to Invest Ontario, warehousing, that property is absolutely perfect for warehousing, for high-end warehousing.
Sorry, supplementary for me. I hate to keep going, but just the entrance that's on Carleon, that's my concern. And the residents now, like it wasn't done with our permission. And like, where are we at with that entrance? What happens? And now we're discussing it again without the residents along Carleon realizing that we're discussing this. Okay, sorry, Andrea, go ahead.
Yes.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair, to Member Burkett. So I just want to clarify that the property on Carleon, 4265 Carleon, I think in the image there, you can see the road constructed at a very base level, like a private road level. Yes, there it is. So the viability of a future municipal road has been embedded in the zoning approval for that property on Carleon line. It reserves or almost flags that there is a possibility for the road to go through, and that was approved by the former OMB, now Ontario Land Tribunal. So that is in full force and effect in the current zoning. That roadway is protected for. So I just wanted to make sure that we were all on the same page.
Member Cox.
Yeah, through the chair, I was also going to say it is on private property, so we really have no say on what, till I heard that part before that. So bottom line is, I think I'm quite in agreement with what Becky's saying. I think we should probably give it a shot. It's not going to cost us anything, and it's not going to hurt. Thank you.
Member McIntyre.
Thank you, through the chair. My opinion is that it's without access, certainly from the highway and also from Carleon, Any offer that come in on this property would be conditional upon access for sure. And that could run for 3 or 4 years before that even reaches the people. I mean, are we going to look at an offer as this group or the next council, whoever, are we going to, or staff, look at an offer conditional on access with an open time limit on how long we'll accept a conditional offer? It would have to be conditional in any case. So perhaps Mr. Burke could answer that question, and I might have a supplementary. Okay, back to someone, please.
Through the chair, so I will use Romero as a good example, as our close neighbor. They put their industrial subdivision up for sale. Many of the properties that, because a lot of them were going to be used for medical marijuana, the companies ended up not getting their contracts after long periods of time. So in the end, what we can, the properties returned back to the municipality, what we can do is we can take cash up front or a partial payment up front. We can hold on to it in trust. If the deal doesn't work, we return the money with no interest and we can move forward from there. Or we can, as the property's not doing anything right now, waiting 3 or 4 years may not mean much to us.
Supplemental through the chair. My issue with it is that if we'll take a deposit on it, we own it. We'll take a deposit, put it in trust, probably with an interest bearing, depending on what would accept an interest bearing account, but notwithstanding, if we sell it in 2025 for X dollars, and by the time we get to the process of access, the value may have gone up exponentially. And I think what has to, from my opinion, I think what has to be done is we own the property. We should apply for access and then make the property increase in value, because now we're selling a piece of acreage of land with access. And if it takes 2 or 3 years, okay. But we should make the application to have access to the property, and in which case I think the value of our asset would go up. Well, who knows how much. A great increase would occur in 2 or 3 years or more when we get the access approved.
Thank you. I might as well ask, I was on the same train as him on this one. Would it not be worth investing in making the access and then selling the property? I believe you're right on the money. I think we'll get a lot more money, and that is a saleable property for a number of good uses. So, and there's only so much you can do there. You can't go on Ryerson. You can't fool around Silver Creek. Like, just seems to me that the answer is there. It's just where do we benefit the taxpayer of Severn the most?
Through the chair, the simple answer is MTO won't even talk to us because we don't have a viable use for the property. What MTO will want, and just from my experience working at the county during requests from properties in other municipalities along Highway 11 and 400, they wouldn't even talk to the municipalities until there was actually a business there. And it has to be a high-end useful business for them to be able to speak to them. So us wanting to put the access in, yes, but we're just going to come up with, we're going to be just given to junior planners who are going to say the policy says no. For us to be able to move forward, the business will need to get to the right people that they probably already have connections with and be able to go and get to that next level. My opinion is they won't even entertain us on the access without just reason.
Member Taylor.
Yeah, just a question there. Is it possible, if you put the thing back up, Allison, so Stewart's Lane's a private road that's there, correct? And does it come right to adjoining our property, and the potential owner could hook up a deal with them and hook up to that road, could they not?
Through the chair, so Stewart's Lane actually isn't a private road. It's an MTO owned land, and the Township of Severn has some assets within that corridor. But yeah, that's not a private road. So I think there are, you know, probably limitations to that access. Again, it's the MTO would look at, that would be a degradation of access on a controlled corridor highway. I think ultimately what would be required here is an access off a municipally maintained roadway, a service road. MTO is quite keen on having roads that are municipally owned parallel with the controlled highway.
Supplementary from Member Taylor?
Yeah, if that's not an option, then can we go north and connect to the closest township road?
I don't see how. Where?
If I can, Mr. Chair. So one thing to bear in mind is this property is sandwiched on two sides by trails. So, and the northern half of this property is covered in VEP designated lands. So the actual building envelope on this property, if council does remember back to the original report, is not that huge. It's in that southern corner. So that said, also on the notion of access, until we have an idea of who a potential purchaser is, we don't know what the nature of that access needed is. So is it heavy transport? Is it regular vehicles? You don't know what the nature of that access is. So to put the onus on the potential purchaser to make and do the work on that is not necessarily a bad option. So it might mean you might not get as high of a value as you want, but right now, this is not bringing in any value to the township at all. So anything is more than what you have right now, and it's finding the appropriate business for the property. That's going to work within the building envelope that's there. To the economic development officer's point, this is a property that is not going to be serviced. So there's a restriction on how much and what type of usages are going to be on this property as well. So the market is not every industrial type that's out there.
Thank you. Everyone's got questions. I got to spread this around. Member Cox, please.
Yeah, through the chair, my theory on it, sorry, I can't hear me, is just like making money on it is nice, but the whole point is if there's something there, it may employ people. And that to me is very important. And it may attract other businesses to come here because they may, I mean, you look at Barrie, the automotive now is there. If you did something there and then somebody saw that, they come in. So my whole thing on it is, I totally agree with what Becky has said. Give it a try, let it go out there. Some big company comes in and they can do something with it. And then the supplementary, somebody else can come in. I think it's really good just to put us on the map and get us started. Thank you.
Thank you. Member McIntyre.
Thank you, through the chair. Just for our own, the committee's information, there's a between Stewart's aggregate sales and the marina is a house, and it's presently for sale. So the other point that I'd like to make is even if we had access off Stewart's Lane, there's no possibility that any big truck traffic or anything industrial, the only access would be coming southbound. And if you made that turn, there's no way you could cut in front of Stewart's with a big truck, or it's something that's going to bring in goods for storage on that corner. You just can't do it. Doesn't matter if we get approval for access off of Stewart's Lane or Carleon, yes, but then you're going to get the residents up in arms. But off of Stewart's Lane, even if the house was bought to mix with this piece, there's no viable traffic that could get in there. It's difficult enough to get in the marina with a boat, so on a trailer. So just know that the house is for sale. If that would shed any light on the value of this property here.
Thank you. Member Burkett?
No, you can go.
Right, through the chair. So through the chair. So Becky, are we going to have some sort of report back as to what we're going to do with this property at a future meeting, or?
Through the chair, I would, and myself and our communications officer, we will create the marketing material. We'll put that up for notice, and basically we wait and see if we get any offers. And then it would be similar to any municipal piece of property that comes up for sale. after a contract or something is provided to us or a letter of offer, it will come back to council for discussion and determination if that is something that you would like to move forward with.
Complimentary, if I may, to Derek. Derek, based on the configuration of that property, and there's some EP on it, and the trails, there's no way that we could get over to one of our roads like Division Road, is there? Is there an entrance? Just like that would make the property much more attractive rather than the entrance that's on Carleon, because to member McIntyre's comments, there's no way you're going to be able to turn a 45-foot trailer off of Carleon onto that entrance that someone built to Carleon. It's just too narrow.
So through the chair, what we've sort of drawn up in the past, and really it's pretty vague, the transportation master plan. It identifies the simple fact that there's an employment lands there, and there's a desire, generally speaking, and this applies to keep going all the way down the highway if you want, parallel service roads. That's ideal, right? To interconnect these areas, not using the highway, giving a secondary opportunity to have mixed employment lands that don't have direct connections to the highway. That's like the general goal across all of the Highway 11 corridor. There's three main roads that kind of circumvent this area, right? We got Division Road, but it is quite a stretch, right? From all the way to the end of this property over to Division Road, but there's a railway corridor through there. You know, on the top of that, you got Hampshire Mills right beside this property, but again, private properties are blocking the access there. And Carleon Line, again, private properties. This is a landlocked piece of land. We're going to look for ideas. If someone came to EDO and said, we'd like to purchase this land and we have some ideas and we have some cooperation with adjacent neighbors and things like that, this is what we're looking for to advance the property. We don't have the solution. We haven't done the environmental work to determine what's the best course of action.
Member Taylor.
Yeah, just to follow up what Derek just said and what Allison said. So, but we own the trail. So why can't we put a road across the trail? We have trails, the Utah Trail crosses township roads all the way along there. And I don't see what the difference is. Since I realize we don't own the other one, the CN rail, but Utah Rail, it's owned by us.
Through the chair, I think, you know, again, we could look at this a number of ways, but perhaps we'd like to see what a concept, a proposal would look like, you know, looking what kind of industrial lands or mixed commercial employment, like what is the employment? Is it satisfactory? What kind of traffic would it generate? And then the solution for access.
Member McIntyre, and then on to the clerk.
Clerk can go first.
All right, fire away.
I just want to bring it back to the intent of the staff report for today. So the intent of the staff report today is just to get council's direction to put it out to market. So is to develop the marketing materials and put it out to market, and then let's see what we get. So it could be that there's no interest and it just sits there. And then maybe in some time staff bring it back, and maybe if access is the issue, we look at it further. But if within some time we get interested parties come forward, then those proposals can be attached to an offer, and then they come forward to council with their ideas. So staff are just seeking direction today to put it out to market to see if there's any bites, to see if we can get anyone to want to bring forward a development idea and employment land idea for this property. So council's not committing to anything as a result of today. We're just asking for direction and approval to be able to put it out to market.
Thank you. Well, I'm gonna go to Member McIntyre, and then we'll call for a vote.
Through Chair Brennan, how, I guess it may be directed to Becky, how are we going to determine a value? Is it going to be $2, 2,000, 200, 2 million? How are we going to determine with all the roadblocks here, how are we going to determine what are we going to ask for the property? I may have I may know someone who would be interested in a parcel like this, as Member Burkett may know someone. What value and how do you determine the value of this piece of property?
Through the chair, there are a few ways that we can do it. One, we can do an appraisal ahead of time. And it has to be an official appraiser from an official appraisal company. The second option is we just wait, and this is what I would be recommending. We just wait and see what people are willing to pay. And it sounds silly, but sometimes they lowball you and we can go back and we can start negotiations. From my experience, having done a few different things with municipalities in the past where municipal land has come up for sale, people are usually, when it's dealing with municipalities, yes, you will get those lowball offers, but some of them know that they can't do that and that municipalities will not waste their time with that. So we can also, you can give us direction to go back and actually ask for some debate and conversation with the owner. But the best way, my opinion is, the best way is to start with them providing us an offer, and then we start the conversation from there.
Further comment through the chair to Becky. I, in almost 50 years selling real estate, have never seen an open, you bring the money and we'll decide. I don't know of anybody ever that in my time, and I'm still active in it, that ever came with an offer when they didn't know and asking. You may have had that experience, and if you have, that's marvelous. And you may, because you've had that experience, that ups my experience. But if you don't have a ballpark or any kind of an idea, like we could all go for a coffee after this, and we could make a group, and we'll offer you $65,000 today, and we'll wait. We'll give you a certain amount deposit, and we'll wait. Anybody listening to this could bring an offer, and you have nothing to compare it to. I understand the appraisal is necessary, but it's a rare nugget that no appraiser is. If he's going to use a comparative market approach, there is none. If he's going to, there is no other similar property. If he's going to use the marketing approach, there is none, because nothing similar has been marketed, because there's no access. So appraiser is going to give you an evaluation, I would think, it's a guess, because he has nothing to compare it to. So just in conclusion, I think we could probably make what we consider a value and put that on it. If it's high, okay, let them come. But they don't have any idea what even they're buying without an asking price. So you're not going to buy a car and the guy's going to tell you, you know what, you make me an offer and I'll tell you if it's close to my asking. So I'm not trying to cloud the waters. I'm trying to clear the waters here, Becky. I think we should have to put a value on it somehow. If it's stupid high, then nobody will come. We can bring it down and then down and down until the fish start to swim up to the bait. So for me, I'd like to see something that says we'd like to get this much for it. I don't know what my colleagues here feel, but in your experience may outweigh everything I've just said. So thank you.
All right, one more. I want to call for
Okay, call the vote. We can discuss.
I think we've bashed this one around as much as we can at this point in time. I'm sure that staff will have due regard for what's been said, and I'd like to call a vote for the original motion, please.
Thank you. So vote having been called. So the motion reads that administration report, A24-038 dated December 11th, 2024 regarding 7996 Highway 11 South Severn be received, and the staff be directed to develop marketing materials to promote 7996 Highway 11 South. That the marketing materials will highlight that the township is seeking a business that will utilize the majority of the property. And that the marketing materials will indicate it is up to the potential purchaser to work directly with the Ministry of Transportation about obtaining a highway access and driveway permits. And further, that the finalized marketing materials be shared with local industrial realtors, the County of Simcoe Economic Development Office, and other relevant officials.
Mover, please. Moved by Member Cox. Seconded by Member Burkett. All in favor? Motion passes. Well, I hope the next one is not as exciting. Well, we're going to find out real quick. F 2.3 Administrative Report 24-37 Agritourism On-Farm Diversification Workshop. And I understand Ms. Reeton will be speaking to that.
Through you to the chair, this is just to provide council with a information report that on February 25th, 2025, the township will be hosting an agritourism / on-farm diversification workshop in Coldwater. This is open to anyone in Severn that is interested in agritourism or on-farm diversification. We will be looking through this workshop to discuss planning requirements, building code, fire code requirements, financial incentives, and also insurance requirements.
All right, questions from, so Member Cox?
Through the chair to Becky. I think this is great. And can we come and watch it too? Because there's a lot of people here who's going to speak. That sounds very interesting.
Through the chair,
When you said everybody, I just wanted to make sure it included us. Because sometimes we're not everybody.
through the chair, anyone is invited to attend, and it will actually, if everything goes according to plan, we will be recording it also so that we can put it on our YouTube channel.
Thank you very much.
Member Taylor.
I think it's great, but so the date you have there is Wednesday, February 25th. But the 25th is actually a Tuesday. So is February 26th also the day of our corporate services as well? Those are two questions.
Sorry, through the chair, that was a typo on my part. It is actually on the Tuesday. I was looking probably at February 24 when I was writing the staff report.
And just for the record, that's county council that day.
Member Burkett.
Thank you to the chair. Thank you, Becky, for this. I'm hope that I'm here. I don't want to miss it.
It's county council.
Oh, should be here. All right, I may be in Florida. Where is the multi-purpose room? Where is that? Okay. All right, thank you.
That is the official name of the upstairs room in the Coldwater Community Center.
Sounds bureaucratic. Not sure what you're going to do about those data issues. We can sort those out. In the meantime, can we have a motion?
Certainly. The motion reads that Administration Report A24-037 dated December 11th, 2024 regarding an agritourism on-farm diversification workshop be received for information.
Moved by Member Taylor.
I just want.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, just to confirm, it is Tuesday, the 25th. Thank you.
Still looking for a mover. Moved by Member McIntyre, seconded by Member Cox. Oh, another.
Sorry, through the chair, I hate to do this. Do you think we could change it to a Thursday or Friday? Because that's county council, so I won't be able to go.
Through the chair, we have already removed / kicked the shuffleboard people out of the room, and I don't think I can move the people that are to have it on the Wednesday.
Okay.
We've had,
But it is being recorded, is it not?
yes.
Yeah, so it's not like it's a political
Yeah, but you
debate.
can't attend it, though.
Yeah,
Can't be in two places at once.
yeah.
But if it's
Okay.
recorded, you can view it later. Like, it's an information session. Yes, Member Cox.
Sorry. And I think she's probably got the speakers booked. Like I only wanted to go because of information. I can watch it if I want. But I think it's mainly for our agricultural sector for them to learn about how to follow the rules and what they can do to make some extra money on this. Thank you.
Mover. And Mr. Member McIntyre, seconder. Member Cox, all in favor?
No.
the last one. It was just shorter. Thank you all for that. Okay, moving into F 2.4, social media policy update. And I'm not sure whether that's our clerk or economic officer. Becky.
Through the chair, we currently have a social media policy in place, which is A-7 that was done in 2022. The policy was, 2020. The policy was very short and basically allowed for the creation of social media for the township. It's missing several key requirements that staff need to be able to monitor and properly maintain our social media. So the attached is our recommendation for changes and updates to the social media policy.
Thank you. Yes, Member Cox.
So through the chair to Becky. Becky, is there anything here that is something that should pop out to us? Because I'm not a social media guru person. So is there something in here that sort of does, I know I read it and I got it, but I'm just saying, are there things here that you think are pertinent that council should know if through their social media that would step up, like pop up? Or is that not a good question?
Through the chair, the policy is fairly standard compared to other municipalities. Basically, we're just asking that it's basically providing more context on the administrators. So that would be the communication officer and myself on what we are and are not allowed to do, who we are not allowed to follow. We get those requests a lot. Why are you not following us? So that just provides a bit of context on that. So for etc., we don't follow people that are running for election. We don't follow political parties, etc. And that just puts everything into context and allows us, when we get those very touchy, yes, good question, get those very touchy requests, that we have a policy to fall back on. Currently, right now, the policy is just at the discretion of the CAO or their designate. So let's get something formal is what we're asking for.
Further questions from committee? Seeing none, can we please have a motion?
Certainly, the motion reads that administration report A24-036 dated December 11th, 2024 regarding social media policy update be received, and that policy A-7 social media 2020 be repealed, and further that the new policy for social media be approved and implemented as outlined in Schedule 1 of this report.
Mover, please. Moved by Member Burkett, seconded by Member Cox. All in favor? Motion passed. All right, moving on to, hang on here, let me act together. G1, Planning Report 2444, Coldwater Seniors Apartments. Oh, sorry, what am I looking at here? Oh. Yeah, what have I just done here? I've got this morning's agenda wrapped around this. Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Let's not go back there. Yes, moving on to G, new business.
Yes, I believe we're at the one that you yourself pulled, so you may want to pass the chair for this one.
I will pass the chair to Member Cox.
I just wanted to take.
Hopefully you've had a chance to read the motion. I just wanted to take a minute or two to discuss this. I was impressed with this motion to call for the redistribution of provincial land transfer tax and the GST to municipalities. And I looked into what our supporting agencies are advocating to see if this was consistent with that. And is this consistent with AMO's 2025 pre-budget submission for long-term and predictable provincial investments in municipal infrastructure, reducing the province's reliance on municipal property taxes to fund health and social services, and addressing root causes of homelessness, and et cetera, et cetera. So in essence, it's the kind of thing that gets it away from the stress that we just went through with the OPP budgeting. Also, if you look to FCM, just yesterday, they called for long-term solutions and their municipal growth framework that's coming out soon. And as they noted in their announcement, there's no longer time for half measures. So I wrote to the mayor of Aurora and asked if this motion had momentum and anything else I need to know. And his chief of staff got back to me and gave me the list of 50, no less than 50, and that was as of last week. 50 communities that have supported it. Oh, they're up to 55 now? Oh, there you go. Anyway, they're growing by 1 or 2 a day. So strong support is being expressed across municipalities, and it's all over the place. I'm not going to name them, but I'm happy to share my list with you if you want to see it. So I am asking for members of this committee to endorse this proposal and to make it and to share it according to the way that they have listed it in their original motion. And
All right, I'll hand you back the chair. Okay, that's all right. Is, yeah. I think so.
Discussion? Oh,
Is there any discussion from anyone? I think you've sold them.
well, okay, you get big points there. The clerk said that it would probably be popular. I was surprised. I wasn't sure. All right. Can we have a mover and a seconder? Can we have a motion, first of all?
Yeah, so the motion will read that the correspondence from the town of Aurora be received and that the council of the Township of Severn supports the town of Aurora's resolution regarding the request for redistribution of provincial land tax and GST to municipalities for sustainable infrastructure funding.
Member McIntyre moving it and seconded by Member Cox. All in favor? Motion, and thank you. So hang on here for a second. Too many of. What have I done with something's wrong here? I do. I pulled out all those papers on that other thing, just in case we had a lively debate. We're on H. Oh, there's still more on there. Yeah, sorry, D 2.2. Sorry, got thrown off there. I forgot that we had a few items pulled. Yeah, D 2.2 then, Town of Innisfil, Simcoe County pay increase. And speaking to that, Member Taylor.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I asked to have this poll just to see what the committee feels, and I believe we should support the resolution by the town of Innisfil. And I believe the county is not behaving correctly. The wage increase is way too much, and hopefully we would support the resolution and also copy our MPP as well.
Thank you. Yes. Member Cox.
I will support this, but first of all, I don't believe it needs to go to the premier. I believe this should go to the municipalities of Simcoe County because they are the ones that are making the decision, and they are the ones that need to relook at their decision because the mayor and I both voted against this raise. And I believe that it's just between the municipalities and not the provincial government. Thank you.
Member Burkett.
Through the chair, I concur with Member Cox. The decision was made on the floor of the county council. I'm not sure what the province would have to say about it. Or who else have they got in here? Honorable Andrea Khan, and yeah, if we just sent it back to the county of Simcoe and circulated throughout the county of Simcoe, I think that would work.
Member McIntyre.
Thank you to the chair. I don't want to throw fire on members of county council. They should have been doing a gradual increase along the way for a number of years. But I agree with the mayor and the deputy mayor, members of the council committee, that it's excessive and it's a one big lump thing at a time. And if they voted against it, that should direct us here as councillors to side with them on it.
Yes, Member
Country,
Burkett.
if I may, through the chair. And you're right, Member McIntyre, but I asked, how did it even come to county council when it was brought? Because I've been there for 14 years and I didn't ask when I first was elected what the pay was. I was happy with what we were getting paid. I didn't ask for a raise. And I'm not sure who or what brought it forward or for what reason. Anyways,
supplemental. Over the course of your time and Judith's time sitting on, did this never come to anybody's attention?
Through the chair, if I may, no, they did it. Well, it never came in my 14 years.
Wow. Yes, Member Cox.
What happened was the per diems were raised all the way along. And so that makes up the difference. You get your base pay plus your per diem and then plus going to any meeting. So you're at $18,000 a year for 2 meetings a month. COLA is in now. It was in and then it was out. So now it's back in. Governance asked for that to keep that going. But $18,000 a year for 2 meetings a month. And that's not 2 meetings every month. There's no meetings in July, 1 meeting in August, 1 meeting in February, and this year, no meetings in December.
All right, Member Taylor.
I just, I would agree with Member Cox and Burkett that we would support the resolution from Innisfil, but then to copy all the municipalities within the county of Simcoe. Thank you.
Yes, and Member Burkett.
Through the chair, to Member Cox, but the warden and the deputy warden's wage went up, correct? Is that not what happened? And no, before this, they did. They weren't as much as they were. I can't. Are you sure? I don't remember that.
I only remember because I thought it was too much at the time.
Sorry, through the chair, it wasn't where it's at
Yeah.
today. No, it wasn't.
Terry, Mr. Dowdle was making that, and so was the next one, and so was Lynn Dolan for deputy warden.
For some reason, I remember it being 50 for the warden, and then it went to 80. Yeah, I'm
I don't know, but it's just shouldn't be touching it. Could be wrong on that one, but I do know that.
All right, then, could we call for a motion with that amendment that's been discussed, please?
Thank you. So the motion reads that the correspondence from the town of Innisfil and Township of Springwater regarding Simcoe County Simcoe County Council pay increase be received. That the Council of the Township of Severn supports the request from the town of Innisfil that county council members repeal their county council wage increase. And further, that a copy of the resolution be provided to all the county of Simcoe municipalities and the county of Simcoe itself.
Mover. By Member Taylor, seconded by Member Burkett. All in favor? Passed. Yeah, okay, go to 2-3.
All I can say to that is ditto.
You mean 2-4?
Oh,
Yeah, I was just.
very good. Thank you.
Now we can move on to committee member reports, and we'll start off with Member McIntyre.
Thank you. Through the chair, just one brief thing. We have our Santa Claus parade in Washego on Saturday. We have a meeting this evening that most of us can attend, some cannot. We understand that. But the parade starts at 5 o'clock. We're hoping that members of council can come, carry a Washego letter, a W, an A, an S, whatever age. 5 o'clock, and then there's festivities afterwards in the community center. So we just open it up to all people who in the township would like to come. Those who are putting in floats, we'd like to see them come in from the Cooper's Falls end of Muskoka Street and come a little earlier than, of course, 5 o'clock, perhaps 4:15. 4, according to Member Cox, and then her comments. I'm sure she'll tell us how many floats and so on we are going to have, but I'd like everybody to attend it who can. Thank you.
Thank you. Member Cox?
There was no library board meeting. It was canceled because of the weather. County council, there's a motion that's coming forward in January to decrease the numbers from the recommended numbers of 33 to 17, but we'll wait to see what happens with that because one of the movers wanted it decreased to 17 because of the wage increase. So if they do decide it's sort of a circle. It just goes around, but we'll see what happens. And that as far as the parade goes, yeah, I can let you know. We have, give me 2 seconds for my little notes here. I got 3 more today. And we're not selling, I don't know if they're going to sell buttons. I guess you'll make that decision tonight. They talked about it. I think I'm up to about 25 floats, 27 floats. So that should be good. And they all know they've to come in that way. And a lot of them have already done their waivers. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you. Member Taylor.
Thank you, Chair. I'll start with the Match Dash Hall. We're decorated for Christmas, and the hall's been booked for several events this month. The Cowater Mill, the grounds have been lit up with Christmas lights and displays. And just last Saturday on December 7th, the mill hosted Santa and Mrs. Claus for pictures upstairs following the Christmas parade. And we also served hot chocolate. The downtown Coldwater looked amazing with the trees, lights, and wreaths and all the snow. And I think Derek needs some thank you for that, I think. And Severn Sound, we're having our next quarterly meeting January 25th, and I'll keep you updated on what's happening at Severn Sound. Thank you.
Thank you. Member Burkett.
Thank you through the chair. Our Lake Country meeting was canceled because of the weather. But an interesting discussion at County Council was this pool, municipal insurance pool. And I won't, I don't want Andrew to talk about it now, but hopefully in the new year, maybe have Madam CEO when she's back, maybe discuss it with members of council, seeing whether there's any merit. So the county themselves are going to self-insure and hoping that through a private, I think it's a private insurance company, is it not, Andrew? And there's cost savings, and they showed the cost savings that each municipality would benefit from. But I'm interested to hear what Andrew might have to say in the new year. Hopefully we can get a report.
If I can respond through the chair to the mayor.
Yes, proceed.
We are planning on, we're trying to do it now, and I have a meeting with county staff tomorrow. We are looking at hopefully coming to corporate services with the report and hopefully getting the representative from that Axiom, I think it's or Axima, I think that's what they're called. Hopefully we can get them to come present to council as well as county staff as well. And, you know, if anything we can do to lower the cost to the township from an insurance standpoint, and then increase our insurance levels at the same time, it's I'm certain council will appreciate the presentation when we do have it.
Thank you. Just for my committee reports, for the Aurelian Lake Country physician recruitment, we haven't had an official meeting since my last update on the 27th. However, the Ontario Medical Student Association will be returning to Bayview Wildwood Resort in Severn for their annual wellness retreat, February 21st to 23rd. This was a great opportunity for us to welcome 150 first and second year medical students. And they were very happy with Mayor Burkett's speech last year. And we're hoping you're not in Florida. But anyway, so it's great. They really do like coming here to Severn, and it's good for us. And I know it's the 21st to the 23rd. So we would be required to be there for the Friday, the 21st of February. All right. We'll sort that out. But it's great to have them back. Secondly, Otis Park, the only thing I wanted to mention for those who don't want to ice skate, December 23rd, 27th, 30th, and January 3rd, there's an open skate for anyone who's got family in the neighborhood and wants to enjoy it. The final report here is the Aurelia District Chamber of Commerce. We held the AGM on Thursday, December 5th. They are looking at the possibility of establishing a chapter branch system to continue growth and advocacy work called Simcoe North, the Simcoe North chapter. They're trying to get up to 1,000 members and amplify the voice of members in the general area. More on that as it develops. They're also, of course, I think I've mentioned this before, initiating a strategic plan. Some of their priorities right now are things like expanding 412 from Windsor in the north, leveraging the critical materials on those transportation routes through our corridor. They are interested in an Oshawa to Midland corridor as well. They're big on transportation changes in this group. They wish to establish a hospital in collaboration with Lakehead University to create a healthcare hub. And they do want to promote affordable housing to lower housing costs and retain workers near where the industry is going to be. So lots of stuff on the go there. They're creating a new governance committee to deal with that. I have offered to work with that committee. We'll see if they want me on there or not. I'm already on the advocacy, but governance is a pretty important way to operate because they operate two businesses, Service Ontario and the port, as well as rely on membership fees. So they're a more complex organization than a lot of chambers that are fee only based. And I'm interested in how they set performance standards for the new organization. So that's sort of where they're at. I just want to note, I know that our economic development officer gave notice of the awards night in an email yesterday, I believe it was. And I also want to note that the chamber annual dinner is Thursday, February 6th. The president of the Ontario Chamber of Commerce will be a special guest, and some of you may know this name, and the Honorable Doug Lewis will be receiving a Lifetime Achievement Award. And for those who don't know who he is, he was a Solicitor General of Canada at one time, and he was active between 1979 and around the year 2000 with the Conservative Party of Canada. That is February the 6th. Therein is my report. Again, it's Everett. It's at Hawkridge.
February the 6th.
February the 6th. Yeah, I will forward it. There is a chamber update that I haven't forwarded yet, so. Chief Administrative Officer updates.
Thank you. I actually don't have anything really for you. Staff are working away feverishly as we head towards year end. So working on wrapping up open projects and things starting on things going into the new year. So. The motion that we adjourn at 2:13 p.m.
Motion, Member Cox, seconded by Member McIntyre. All in favor?